Guys, we're here to talk a little bit and share some of our experience regarding communication, regarding a relationship, whether this applies to marriages and especially dating relationships, but more importantly, marriages, all right? For us, some of the lessons that we've learned the hard way, right? And so that's unfortunate to say, but at the same time, no one's perfect, so it's okay. Now, there was a book that we read, when though? How many years ago? Like this was... If this is 2020 right now, and it's been recording, this was probably what, 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Probably about 7 years ago.
I think 6 years ago. So we'll just say 6. We didn't even read the book. We did like the DVD version of it.
Which I like because I'm not a book reader.
I like books. I like to read books. But the book that we read that really helped us out a lot was The 5 Love Languages. And we're gonna leave a link in the description below so you can find it, plus some other things if you're interested in it. But what we wanted to do today on this one was just like a little introduction, kind of talk about what's the big idea of the book and why it impacted us so much. So I'm just gonna read some of the points here about the 5 love languages. The point of it was the fact that he was saying that it's a psychologist and he was a Christian too, saying that people have different ways in which they express and communicate love. And he has this big idea, remember, about you're filling up your tank, right? And when your tank is not being filled, you don't feel loved. And I remember, you want to tell the story about when we knew it was like, all right, we have an issue?
Go ahead.
Remember? Okay, so you stopped me. It was one of the... It was weird, I don't know, it was one of the crappiest conversations we ever had to have. I remember, I don't know what led up to you saying this, but I think you just had enough. Do you remember like what your statement was, I don't feel that you love me?
Yeah.
I don't know what led up to that.
I
don't remember that, I blocked that out.
To be honest, it was because I always felt, on the back burner, I always felt like I came last compared to church activities and always having to do things like I don't know how else to explain it. Like,
got it.
It was just something that I always felt like I wasn't a priority.
Okay. Because
church kind of came first.
And she was really sincere when she said that, and that took me for a loop, because I mean we knew since we had fallen in love since we were 15. This was right now 5 years, let's say 6 years ago, puts us at pushing our 30s. Close to our 30s, if not late 20s, early 30s. And so, I mean, I could not believe she said that I don't feel that you love me. And I blew up. This is like, I think the only time I've ever blown up, because I couldn't believe she said that. I was furious. And then I was petty and then decided to hop on a bandwagon. I'm like, well, speaking of feeling loved, and then we were back and forth. So it's in that moment we realized we have to do something. We came across the book, and it really helped us out a lot. We just want to share our story and encourage you along your story as well. But really quick, here's a couple of things if you remember from the book. Number one, it says that people speak many different love languages, right? And that's something that we realized, that even though we all speak them in various forms.
There's 5 of them, and you tend to speak all of them.
Yeah, we
Some
all do.
are more
Normal
than
people.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, but like what you said, normal people, most people tend to have 1 or 2 dominant ones. There was another part that was really interesting. It says, okay, people speak 5 different love languages, 5 ways which are 5 ways that we understand love, receive love, express love. And Chapman, who's the author, believes that once you identify and learn to speak your spouse's primary love language, you will discover the key to a lasting and loving marriage. And I feel like when we figured that out, things started to click, because she was doing things to express love that did not. I don't feel love when she was doing things to express, and then vice versa.
Right, because you tend to express your love in your own love language. Like you tend to express love the way you like to receive love, and so it kind of gets lost in translation if your partner, your spouse, their love language is different. It gets lost in translation. You know, you're thinking, I'm doing all this for you, and they're not receiving it that way. They appreciate it, but they're not responding in the way you want them to.
Yeah, so here's some of the big takeaways, which I think we agree with. Number one, it says that love doesn't last forever. Now, the idea of love, you know, like that puppy love, all of those expressions and stuff like that, they don't last forever. And because at one point, after the emotions, after everything is settled in, now you have a real opportunity to dig in and develop a true loving relationship, right? And so we got it to that point where all the goosebumps and all the fuzzies,
all the butterflies,
yeah,
all that, you know, it goes away.
Which is nice though, but you know, there's a deeper level of love in there. So the other one was when you realize when love doesn't last, you have two options normal people think. You either skip out or you have to suffer in this relationship. Like, oh well, I'm stuck, or you know what, moving on to the next little bitty or whatever that gives you those feelings. And that's one idea. But Chapman believes that no, there's a third option. When you learn to discover that love language, you can discover a really deep element of love. And so I know for us, we were not intentional those first couple of years of being married, like the first 6 years, we weren't intentional. We were super busy. And we were so busy doing everything but what mattered most. And so that was really unfortunate for us, but I'm glad that, you know, God stepped in at just the right time in order to really help us out. And so,
and when we say we weren't intentional, it's just that, you know, honestly, we were young. We got married very young, and we started having kids almost right away.
Yeah.
We started a church right away, almost, and so we were growing a church, growing a family. We were both working full time on top of all that. So I just think that like we weren't intentional because we were tired.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we were just like, there was no energy, no motivation to do nothing else but just sit on the couch and aimlessly just stare at the TV.
And obviously that wasn't living. And so we wanted to, so today the purpose of that was just kind of that introduction. And if you've ever felt this way, if you've ever felt maybe not appreciated, or maybe like you're trying to do a lot and people aren't replying or responding the right way, this honestly opened up our eyes a lot, and we pray that it opens up your eyes too. So you can keep watching the rest of the videos. What we're going to do for the next 5 videos is talk about each one, how we react and responded to this, and how we have gone about applying it. But until then, you can check out the description below on some other details on how to find the book. Highly recommend. But hey, if anything, what's most important is learning how to communicate. Communication is super key when it comes to any relationship, whether it's relation with God, especially your relationship with your spouse. And so check back later, all right, and we'll go through all 5 of the videos.